The greatest battle you'll ever fight isn't with the world. It's with the 5 enemies inside you that keep you from becoming who you're meant to be. You work hard. You want to grow. You keep telling yourself this is your year. But somehow, you fall into the same patterns, stopping, starting, doubting, and wondering why real progress never lasts. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're weak. It's because there are hidden forces quietly working against you every single day. The 5 enemies of progress live inside all of us. They show up as fear, distraction, doubt, hesitation, and the endless need for comfort. They steal your focus, your energy, and your momentum, and you don't even notice until it's too late. In this audiobook, we're going to expose each one, understand how they control your behavior, and learn how to defeat them once and for all. Because once you silence these enemies, nothing can stop your growth, not even you. Stay till the end. It might just change everything. Chapter 1. Challenge the voice that tells you stop. You know, there comes a moment in every person's life when something inside whispers, stop. It's that small voice that says, you've done enough, you're not ready, or what if you fail? And if you listen to that voice long enough, it becomes the strongest enemy of your progress. Most people never move beyond that moment. They listen, they stop. And years later, they wonder why life feels the same as it did 10 years ago. The truth is, progress is not destroyed by failure, it's destroyed by hesitation. The quiet decision to pause, to wait, to hold back. The human mind has a way of protecting itself from pain, and sometimes that protection becomes a prison. When you feel uncertain, your mind tells you to slow down, to wait for clarity. But clarity doesn't come before movement, it comes because of movement. You see, that voice inside you isn't evil, it's just afraid. It's afraid of embarrassment, afraid of rejection, afraid of being seen trying and not succeeding. But if you want to grow, if you want to live a life that feels alive, you have to learn to challenge that voice every single day, because that voice will not go away. You just have to stop giving it power. Every time you start something new, whether it's a business, a goal, a relationship, there's a part of you that wants to retreat. You'll feel it in your chest, that pressure, that little anxiety that says, maybe tomorrow. It's the same for everyone. The difference between the people who move forward and the ones who stay stuck is simple. One listens to that voice, the other challenges it. When you challenge that voice, you don't do it with anger, you do it with understanding. You say, I hear you, but I'm moving anyway. That's courage. Courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It means you decide that fear doesn't get the final say. Now, think about how many opportunities people lose because they listened to that voice. The person who wanted to start their fitness journey but waited for motivation. The student who wanted to learn something new but feared looking foolish. The professional who wanted to take a step forward but didn't think they were ready. The truth is, no one ever feels ready. The first step always feels uncomfortable. That's what growth feels like. It's unfamiliar, uncertain, and sometimes even painful. But on the other side of that discomfort is freedom. You can train your mind to respond differently. The next time you hear that inner voice say, stop, take a breath and do the opposite. Make one small move forward. Because motion builds confidence. Confidence is not built by thinking, it's built by acting. You'll never think your way into progress, you have to live your way into it. There's something powerful about small wins. Each one tells your brain, I can do this. And every time you prove that voice wrong, it grows weaker. The problem is, too many people wait for motivation. They think they need to feel ready before they act. But motivation doesn't come before action. It's the result of it. The best way to create energy is to move, to take one small, brave step in the direction of your goals. The voice that tells you to stop is clever. It disguises itself as logic. It says, be realistic. It says, wait for the right time. But there is no perfect time. There's only now. The people who achieve extraordinary progress aren't always smarter or luckier. They just act faster. They move when others wait. Progress begins with a decision. Not a loud, dramatic decision, but a quiet, firm one. The kind you make when no one's watching. You say to yourself, no matter how I feel, I'm doing this. That kind of self-trust changes everything. When you keep promises to yourself, your confidence grows. When you break those promises, your belief in yourself weakens. Every time you give in to that inner voice, you teach yourself that it's okay to stop. But every time you move anyway, you teach yourself that you are stronger than your excuses. Now, progress doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. You don't need to leap. You need to take steady steps. The person who keeps showing up, even on hard days, will always beat the person who only works when they feel like it. Discipline beats emotion. Action beats hesitation. That's human psychology in its simplest form. Your brain seeks comfort because it wants safety. But growth doesn't live in safety, it lives in challenge. When you understand that your feelings are not commands, you take back control. You can feel fear and still act. You can feel doubt and still continue. That's how resilience is built. You've probably had moments in life where you felt inspired for a while and then stopped. Maybe you joined the gym, started a project, or tried to change a habit. At first, it felt exciting. But then came the fatigue, the resistance, the voice whispering, "This isn't working." That's the moment that defines your growth, because that's when most people quit. But the truth is, that voice doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're changing. The brain resists change because it's unfamiliar. When you push through that moment, you teach your brain that discomfort is safe. If you could just hold steady through that resistance one more day, one more attempt, one more try, you'd realize that the hardest part of progress is not the work, it's the persistence. Anyone can start. Few continue. The person who continues, even when it's not exciting, wins every time. Think about people you admire, the ones who built something meaningful, the ones who changed their lives. Every one of them fought that same voice. The only difference is, they didn't give it power. They replaced the voice of doubt with a stronger one, the voice of purpose. When you have a purpose, when you know why you're doing what you're doing, it gives you strength to keep going. Purpose silences doubt. That's why I always say, if your why is strong, the how becomes easier. You can endure almost anything when you remember what you're working toward. Now, challenging that voice doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily practice. You train your mind the same way you train your body through repetition. Each morning, you decide that your future matters more than your fear. Each evening, you reflect and remind yourself how far you've come. That's progress. There's something deeply human about the struggle between comfort and growth. Every person on this planet feels it, but only a few choose growth. And those few live lives that others only dream about. They take risks, they fail, they learn, and they rise again. If you ever wonder why some people succeed while others don't, it's not luck, it's mindset. The winners challenge their hesitation, the rest obey it. Every breakthrough starts with a moment of resistance. You have to recognize that moment for what it is, not a stop sign, but a signal that you're growing. You can start today. Think about one area of your life where that inner voice keeps showing up. Maybe it's your health, your career, or your relationships. Listen to what that voice says. You're too tired. You're not good enough. It's too late. Then quietly respond, I'm doing it anyway. You'll be amazed at how much power that one sentence holds. Progress doesn't happen in giant leaps. it happens in quiet defiance. Every time you move forward when your mind says stop, you create momentum, and momentum builds belief. The first step might be small, but it changes everything. You are capable of more than you think. You have everything you need to change your story, but you must decide that the voice of fear doesn't get to run your life anymore. Fear will always whisper, but courage speaks louder. The most powerful people in the world aren't fearless, they're just unwilling to surrender to fear. They wake up with the same doubts, the same worries, but they move anyway. That's what separates a dreamer from a doer. You can start where you are, with what you have. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for clarity. Don't wait for motivation. Take one honest step forward. Because once you start, that voice begins to fade. It realizes you're not listening anymore. That's when something shifts inside you. You begin to trust yourself again. You begin to feel alive again. You start to see that progress isn't about speed, it's about direction. Each day you move forward, even a little, you rewrite your future. Challenge that voice today. The one that says you can't, the one that says you should wait, the one that says you're not enough. You are enough. You've always been enough. All you need is to move. Progress begins the moment you decide that your future deserves more effort than your fear. The moment you stop negotiating with that inner voice, your entire life begins to change. And that, my friend, is how you build momentum, purpose, and lasting growth. Because the greatest victory you'll ever achieve is not against the world, it's against the part of you that wanted to stop. And once you win that battle, every other challenge becomes possible. Chapter 2. Train your mind to love small wins. Most people dream big, but they never learn to value the small steps that make those dreams possible. They look for the big break, the huge success, the overnight change. But life doesn't reward those who wait for something massive to happen. It rewards those who train their mind to love progress in small pieces, one day, one habit, one effort at a time. The truth is, the mind naturally wants to chase extremes. It wants to win fast, to feel the thrill of accomplishment without the patience of building it. And when that big result doesn't show up right away, discouragement creeps in. That's where most people quit, not because they can't succeed, but because they never learned how to enjoy slow progress. If you can teach yourself to find pride in every small step forward, you become unstoppable. Because the person who celebrates small wins builds consistency, and consistency builds everything: discipline, momentum, confidence, and results. Think about how you learned anything important in life. You didn't start perfect. You learned one thing at a time. You practiced, you stumbled, and you grew. Progress has always come in small pieces, but somewhere along the way, we started believing that little steps don't matter. We started comparing our beginnings to someone else's highlight. We started losing patience with the process. Training your mind to love small wins begins with awareness. Every day, there are things you do that bring you closer to your goals. Waking up early, reading a few pages, saying no to distractions, saving a small amount of money, eating a healthy meal, all of it counts. But most people dismiss those moments because they don't feel big enough. That's the mistake.